following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score Breakdown Show. Second night of the NBA season. My name is Neil Rochlani. I am on with Erik Ong. Adrian Benjamin cannot join us tonight. Had some family priorities to take care of. So we're lucky to get Erik Ong. You're one of the first people who started hoop ball. Is that correct? How long have you been around?
I'm not one of the first. I actually joined the team January last season, or 2 seasons ago, roughly. So I guess with the transition of people on the site, I'm a relative veteran, but I'm not exactly as old as Dan, and well, no one is older than Dan in hoop ball other than Brewski, obviously, but you know what I mean. So
I know what you mean, but you're just so smart. So I figured you were one of the first ones to come on the show.
Well, I've been writing about fantasy basketball for a very long time before joining hoop ball, so that's where the experience comes in, and all of that has come together, and I'm really taking my game to the next level ever since I've joined hoop ball. I believe that working with this talented group of guys has upped my game and has really sharpened my fantasy basketball skills.
Well, that's why I wanted to join a league with you, to get better, because you do such great stuff on the writing side. But glad to have you on the pod side today. We're going to go through. We've got 11 basketball games to get through, and we're going to go in chronological order and sort of go through the box scores. Probably don't have time to go through every stat line and every player, but we're going to discuss what we saw tonight. Anything that makes us change your mind on a player, I'd like to talk. Any player that we think maybe is now a pickup in standard leagues, like 12 teams or less, or fewer, I should say, and then maybe any pickups for deeper leagues. How does that sound, Erik?
That sounds fantastic, Neil.
All right, so let's get started with the first game, Charlotte against Milwaukee. This was a barn burner. Milwaukee prevailed in the end, had a lead. Charlotte came back, winning the game 113-112. Giannis, someone who I passed at the third overall pick, and now I'm starting to regret it, had a great night, 25 points, 18, 8. The one concern for him was his free throw shooting, which tonight was a little suspect, 7-12, and his 3-point shooting 0 for 3. Other than that, though, had a pretty solid line. 8 turnovers, though, if you're a 9-cat. Chris Middleton, another fantasy darling, 33 minutes, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. The new addition, Brook Lopez, only played 21 minutes, did contribute decently, though, with 14 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He's someone that I think is owned in most leagues. Is he someone that you typically see picked up in most leagues, Erik?
Yeah, I was one of those people who bought into those Brook Lopez shares, expecting a nice, bounce back season from him, being with a new team and all. I must say that this kind of production, the 14 points, 3 boards, was a bit of a downer. I didn't expect it to be this bad. I knew he wouldn't be, delivering his old New Jersey numbers. He was with the New Jersey Nets back then. But this is not the kind of numbers I was hoping to see from Lopez, and I'm not getting the kind of returns. Well, it's a 1-game sample size, but this is not the early returns I was hoping for.
Yeah, what concerns me is the minutes, just the 21 minutes. I knew he would shoot decently, and his free throw percentage was fine. It was great, actually. And then he made 2 threes. Did not get a block. Expect him to get at least a block a game. Didn't happen tonight. Brogdon played 38 minutes. Didn't have a great stat line, though, just 10, 3, and 6. Okay, so this is the first guy we're going to talk about. Should we pick up in shallow leagues? Ilyasova, 29 minutes, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Do you think he's worth an ad?
No. I'll say that straight out. No.
Okay. All right. What about a 14-team or 16-team leagues? You think he should be added?
Maybe 16 or deeper. 16. But okay, Ilyasova has this nasty habit of being a fantasy tease, and that's from years of tracking his production. The guy will come up with a solid game. He's gonna look like, hey, I'm worth an ad. You pick him up, then he's gonna come up with an ugly dud of a game right after. So Ilyasova really struggles with consistency, and I'm a bit worried. And I think this ties in with the whole context of the game, and it also brings together why Lopez played such few minutes, and that's because there were spots in the game that Charlotte played ultra small, having MKG at center, and I think Nick Batum at power forward. So when Charlotte went ultra small, there was really no room for Lopez to do Brook Lopez things, and all Milwaukee had to do was kind of match the up-tempo style with the smaller lineup, and that's why Ilyasova had a boost in production. So I'd consider this more of an outlying game, and pretty much take it with a grain of salt because of that context.
Yeah, fair enough. I would not recommend an ad in 12 teams or fewer, maybe 14 teams if you need rebounds and good field goal percentage, and you have someone who is just droppable, like who just hasn't done anything. He might be worth a speculative ad, but probably not going to give you too much value. Like you said, Eric, he could be just hot one night and cold another night. The minutes could be flipped pretty easily, right? He could drop down to 21 minutes next game. I didn't mention Bledsoe. Sort of had a typical Bledsoe night: 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 3-pointers, and a block. Any thoughts on any of these players? Anything change your mind after tonight? Any other thoughts on the Bucks?
The Bucks, I'm pretty happy with what I was expecting to see aside from Lopez. I've given my thoughts on Ilyasova. I'm kind of disappointed in the 5 minutes they gave to Christian Wood. He had an awesome preseason, and he was a deep league target, and I actually have to share that I drafted him in the 30 deep experts league that I'm in with Brewski, Dan, and Panda. He had 3 points, 1 rebound, and 1 3. On a per minute basis, it wasn't so bad, but I just wish that the Bucks gave him a little bit more time. But maybe further down the road.
Yeah, certainly not an ad in anything less than 30 teams, probably. Charlotte. All right. Do you want to run through the stats, or do you want me to do all of these?
Okay, I could do. I'll try my hand at one team.
Yeah. Let's throw this back and forth. Go ahead and do Charlotte's. Okay. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, we got to start off with Kemba Walker here, who dropped 41 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, and nailed 7 3-pointers. He shot pretty well, 15 of 29 from the field and 4 of 5 from the line. It was pretty much the Kemba show, which is kind of counterintuitive to what I was hearing news-wise, as far as the Hornets' orientation of making the offense less Kemba-centric, which is clearly not the case here. I guess the Hornets were really struggling, and Kemba simply stepped up and tried to carry his team to victory. It was a futile attempt, as the Bucks obviously held them off. Nick Batum, relatively quiet, but he still filled up the stat sheet with 5 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Those 2 steals, 2 blocks are pretty good. But I'm kind of disappointed with those 5 points. Marvin Williams was a pleasant surprise with 5 points, 9 4 3. Jeremy Lamb, someone who.
Eric, you're cutting out there a little bit. Start talking again if you can hear me. Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. Keep going. You're fine now. Come back on.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay.
We heard Jeremy Lamb, and that was the last thing we heard.
Jeremy Lamb, who is somebody who I have a lot of shares of in fantasy, scored 10 points, 4 of 11 shooting from the field, 2 threes, 2 boards, and 1 steal. Some notable disappointments here. Miles Bridges, who had a lot of preseason momentum and hype coming in, was put up a dud with just 1 point in 15 minutes. Willie Hernan Gomez had 9 points, 5 boards, 1 steal in just 12 minutes off the bench. And surprise, surprise, an apparently healthy Malik Monk woke up with 18 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and 4 triples. Now that's a doozy right there because I don't think there were a lot of people expecting Monk to, produce these kinds of numbers in his first game. So here we go with the Hornets. I think Marvin Williams is in for a bounce back season given the new offensive style that they're trying to implement. Cody Zeller was a bit of a mild disappointment in just 21 minutes with 5 points, 3 boards. But overall, I don't think that there was. It's fair to judge them on this execution because clearly the plan didn't work and Kemba had to do his 41-point game instead. So I don't think we're going to see box scores like this from the Hornets in the future. So, Neil, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Hornets?
Yeah, Kemba Walker took 29 shots. That was like you said, it was his night. Malik Monk was second with 16 attempts. So, and no one else took. Well, no, Lamb did take 11. Let me ask you this: I own some Jeremy Lamb as well. Are you worried about him? Are you worried about Malik Monk taking over in that position?
No.
Okay.
I'm still gonna be patient with Lamb. I think that because of his defense, Lamb is gonna get solid minutes. I think Lamb is the better defender. I think Monk is too much of a one-trick pony as far as just being an offensive weapon is concerned, notwithstanding his 1 steal and 2 blocks in this game. I think Lamb is still the better player to own for now. Again, 1 game sample size. I'm still holding on to my Jeremy Lamb.
If you picked up Zeller towards the end of your draft, would you drop him now, or are you still going to hold on to him?
I'll give him another game or two. Again, because of the matchup, I think that their decision to go ultra small was obviously a disadvantageous situation for Zeller's production. But if Zeller is facing, more prototypical big men, I think Zeller will be able to shine in those situations and be of better use and drop more boards, maybe block a shot.
Okay. Yeah, I think you have to wait at least one more game, I think, to see if this was just an aberration because they were down so big early and they switched course. So that may not happen again. I don't mean to rush you, but I just want to make sure we got 10 more games to go too. Do you have anything else on Charlotte, or are you ready to move on to the next game? Erik?
No, that's it.
Okay. Memphis at Indiana is the game 2 I have. The Grizzlies got blown out by Indiana, and this is kind of a weird game because a lot of players did not play what we expected their minutes to be. Shelvin Mack actually played 30 minutes, so not something I think we'll see in the future, though. Gasol also played 30 minutes. Jermichael Green started. Garrett Temple started. Maybe those are the 2 somewhat surprise players in there. We probably knew Jermichael was going to start, but I guess we were all hoping Jaren Jackson Jr. would get in there. Chandler Parsons also started. This team just did not do anything tonight. I am not really big on any Memphis Grizzlies right now. I have Conley in one league. He only went 11, 2, and 3 with 3 of 11 shooting, 2 3-pointers, 1 steal. Gasol had a decent line, 13, 6, 3, but he had a terrible night shooting, 2 for 11, 3 steals, no blocks. Chandler Parsons does not look like he is rosterable right now. Jermichael Green on the fringes at best. Garrett Temple, Shelvin Mack. Kyle Anderson, maybe he was the biggest disappointment in this. Kind of very, very buzzy coming into this season. 19 minutes, though, just tonight. 5 points, 2 rebounds. Pretty much someone you would drop if his name wasn't buzzy coming into the year. So What are your thoughts on Memphis? Anything you're taking away from this in terms of fantasy?
Okay, the one thing I have to share with our listeners is to be patient with Kyle. As you may or may not know, that he was dealing with an injured heel coming into this game, and it's likely that he wasn't 100% playing in this game. So we can chalk up this, poor performance by Kyle to a lingering injury. Now, if Kyle does recover and comes back at 100%, I'm gonna expect to see some better production from him. So if I was a Kyle owner, and I am a Kyle owner, I'm definitely gonna be giving him a bit more slack and be patient with him with, let's say, at least one more week, and before I make any rash decisions concerning him, because he does have a very roto friendly game. Being low turnovers, good shooting percentages, on most nights, and he's worth that bit of patience.
Yeah, fair enough. You have a lot more patience than me. I tend to drop so many guys and add so many guys. I end up making that mistake. But I'm glad you're here to balance that out. Do you want to take us through the Indiana side real quick?
Okie dokie. Well, we got to start things off, obviously, with their best player, Victor Oladipo. He had a subdued night with 16 points, 5 boards, 5 assists, and 3 triples, no steals. But overall, it was, considering that he only played 26 minutes, it's the kind of production we expect to see from Depot. What was eye-opening was the team's top scorer. It was Bojan Bogdanovic, who brought home the bacon with 7 of 9 shooting from the field, perfect from 3, with 3 shots. He ended up with 19.6 boards and 3 turnovers. A bit of a disappointment from Miles Turner, who wound up with 8 points, 8 boards, 4 blocks, and pretty much that's it. Thad Young did Thad Young things with 10 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 1 block. No steals, though, which is a bit of a head scratcher coming from Thad, who's known for his steals. Darren Collison was arguably the biggest disappointment on this Pacers roster, missing all 5 of his shots from the field, winding up with just 0 points, 1 rebound, and 5 assists, 3 turnovers for the night. Awful game from Darren Collison. Domantas Sabonis made up for that and delivered a sweet double-double with 14 and 15 with 2 assists in 29 minutes off the bench, actually playing more minutes than Miles Turner, who only logged 20 minutes. Tyreek Evans had a nice debut, a regular season debut for the Pacers with 14 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, and 1 tray. 6 of 12 from the field, 1 of 2 from the line. Not bad, I'd say, considering his new role as the team's 6th man. Although Sabonis probably would have something to say about that with his solid production. Again, I guess the main things that jump out at me with this box score from the Pacers is Miles Turner. The four blocks, 8 boards were nice, but I'm not too happy with his 8 points. You'd expect more. I'd expect him to be more aggressive and involved in the offense, and that's clearly not yet happening this season, which, that bounce back hope for Miles Turner is, slowly drifting away. But again, be patient with him. I think. Let's just hope that Sabonis does not eat up into his playing time too much. Again, this game, because it was pretty much under the control of the Pacers for the most part, they dictated the tempo and it was played on their terms. So there was no grit and grind that the Grizzlies could really do to stop even Bogdanovic from doing what he wanted to do. And that's about it. Well, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I guess
from the Pacers on your side.
Yeah, I just say if you own Miles Turner, you obviously just have to hang tight and hope he turns it around a little bit. Like you say, 1 game sample size, no need to panic. But speaking of panic, I own a lot of Darren Collison. He was -1 in the plus minus, and they won by 30. should I be concerned at all about this guy?
Okay, so let's just um, let's just keep things in check here. I'm with you. I'm on the same boat. I own a lot of shares of Darren Collison. I saw him as a good field goal shooting, solid passing, low end guard late in drafts, and I targeted him. Um, I was counting on him to for his efficiency, but clearly um, that was not the case here. Tyreek Evans showed him up with a far better performance. I think we're going to see some kind of decline from Collison, although I do not expect, goose eggs like this to be laid every night by the guy. So, again, similar to those early investments we have, I'd give some patience to Collison, and I'm not going to give up on him just yet.
Well, thank you for talking me. I feel a little bit better about that. So Sabonis, do you think is he a must own in 12-team leagues?
Wow. Uh, whew. I'd say if you're an aggressive type of manager, I'd put in an ad for Sabonis after this pleasant surprise from him. The double double was a good gem, um, but again, it's the better Sabonis does. It seems like the worse Turner ends up doing, or vice versa. The worse Turner is playing, the better Sabonis does. So, um, their their fates are kind of intertwined. So if you're rooting for Turner, you're obviously not going to be thinking Sabonis will be able to keep this up for the rest of the season. Yeah, he's worth an aggressive ad, but in case he falls off, just be ready to cut bait.
Yeah. What about these other two guys who kind of performed off the bench? Corey Joseph. Any thoughts on him? Adding him in maybe a 14-team league or a 16-team league, or Doug McDermott? I mean, personally, I don't think either one should be added at this point. I think this was kind of an aberration of a game in terms of minutes. So I don't think they're going to be fantasy relevant maybe just yet. I'd put them on a watch list, but not pick them up. Do you feel differently?
I agree, especially with Doug. Kojo, on the other hand, I'd probably give him a look, maybe in 16 team or deeper if you're desperate for a guard. I know a lot of guards sat out tonight with various illnesses and injuries, so he could be worth a short-term stream position on a deep league.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Miami, Orlando, third game of the night. On my list, Miami had a very interesting starting lineup tonight. Derek Jones Jr. and Rodney McGruder in the starting lineup. Derek Jones only played 17 minutes, though, did not have much of a stat line. McGruder did not have a great stat line, but did play 32 minutes, which makes him intriguing for me, at least in the short term. Whiteside had a nice night on 34 minutes, 12 points, 18 rebounds, and 2 blocks, a steal. Only shot those 6 of 15 from the field. Dragic had a really good scoring night, 26 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 of 14 shooting, 3 3-pointers, and a block. Josh Richardson, a guy we all expect to do very well this year, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Only took 10 3-pointers, only made 2 of them. So not a great shooting night, steal and a block. And then Wade came off the bench and did decently with 9 points, 11 rebounds on a weeknight shooting, 3 of 13. And Adebayo, Olenek, and Tyler Johnson as well came off the bench. The only thing I would do is put McGruder on a watch list and see if he plays another 30 minutes. And if so, then maybe I'd add him until he's out of the starting lineup. Anything you're doing based on what you see tonight?
Actually, I was going to ask your opinion on someone, and that's Kelly Olynyk. I own several shares of Kelly, expecting him to be at least as close to a solid, big man, third big man on a fantasy team like he was for me last season. He only played 15 minutes, finished with 4 points, 1 rebound, and pretty much that's it. Bam Adebayo played 22 minutes, and this is without James Johnson in the mix. And the front court isn't that crowded just yet. Should I be worried as an Olynyk owner?
Well, I was not big on Olynyk this year. This could just be a matchup issue with Olynyk not being the most athletic person out there. He is a very skilled big man, but he's not the most athletic. I don't know exactly why he only played 15 minutes. This might be one of his lowest minute totals we've seen in a while. It could be a harbinger of things to come. I think if there's someone else out there, like I would take Sabonis over Olynyk. Do you think what would you do in those two situations?
Wow, that's an interesting proposition.
Is that crazy?
Coming into the season, I would have said yeah, but after tonight, I'm having second thoughts. Okay, guys, listeners, it's day 2, 1 game sample size. Just let's stay grounded. Okay, we did our research. Kelly played solid last season. There's no reason to panic just yet. It's 1 game, like Neil said. Could have been a matchup issue. I mean, how is he going to keep up with Aaron Gordon, right? So few people can. So in this case, I think we have to take it in terms of context. They were up against the Magic, who were running the floor. So I think it was just a bad matchup, and I'm gonna wait and see how Olynyk does in the next couple of games.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I can be very quick on the trigger, especially the first couple of days. I tend to extrapolate maybe too much, but I do know this is the best time to pick up guys cheaply that can break out. So I try to do a few moves to see if anything hits. And if I have someone who, like Olynyk, who I always thought was going to be, best case would be good, not great, and now it's looking like he might not even be good. He's someone I might cut bait with. Certainly, though, if Whiteside gets traded or gets injured, Olynyk will be very valuable at that point. All right, I'm going to comment. You mind if I commandeer and just do all the stat lines?
Go ahead.
Yes, because I'm looking at the clock, and it's getting late here in Chicago. So I will do Orlando as well. Aaron Gordon had a monster night, 38 minutes, 26-6, 2 assists, shot well, 9 of 18. Free throws, okay, 4-6, 4 3-pointers, 4 turnovers, no defensive stats. Jonathan Isaac, someone who's a fantasy darling for many of us here in the industry. Tonight, just 18 minutes, though, 6 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist on just 4 attempts. 1 3-pointer, no blocks, no steals, something we were expecting from him. Vucevic had a solid game in 28 minutes, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Did not shoot as well as we expect. 4 of 12. Did make 4 or 5 free throws and a steal. DJ Augustin got the start at point guard with 11 points, but just played 22 minutes. So he's not someone I think is really rosterable in 12-team leagues. I'd like to get your opinion on that, Eric, here in a little bit. And then Evan Fournier, sort of a boring but decent fantasy contributor. 24 minutes, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. On an off night of shooting 0 for 5 from 3 and a steal. And then the last person I want to get your opinion on is Jonathan Simmons, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 33 minutes, and assists, 1 assist, and a block. Any thoughts on, is Augustine relevant in 12-team leagues, and is Simmons addable in 12-team leagues?
I have Augustine in a hoop ball league. He's at the end of my bench right now. I didn't play him tonight because I had better guys on my roster. So that pretty much paints a picture of where I see Augustine. I don't think he's very relevant, and he's only there to be plugged in when I have when the Magic have games, and I can afford to plug him in. But other than that, I'm not too excited about his outlook for 2018-19. There are other guys out there who probably will do better than him.
Okay. Anything else from Orlando you want to bring up?
No, not really. Jonathan Simmons is somebody I drafted late in the 30 deep experts league, and I'm glad I did. It was decent for the return. because I think I picked him up somewhere in the 300s. So, relative to that draft position, he's clearly outperformed, where I got him. But that said, he's just a deep league guy as of now.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Whenever you draft someone that late and he produces, that's got to be a great feeling. All right, let's go over to Brooklyn, Detroit. This game was Brooklyn was leading early on, but then Detroit came back and won at 103-100. Brooklyn's a bit injured right now, so Joe Harris got the start. Jared Dudley got the start, played 36 minutes. Jared Allen, let's start with him. He was someone who was, again, very buzz-worthy or had a lot of buzz in fantasy. He did deliver tonight, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 6 of 10 shooting, 2 3-pointers, 4 blocks. A great line from him. Karis LeVert, another player who showed some really great signs last season towards the end. And tonight scored 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, took 18 shots, made 10 of them, a steal and a block. D'Angelo Russell had I'd say an okay night. Only took 9 shots. He did make 8 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. Dinwiddie off the bench had 23 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. And then Harris, go back to those two guys who were not expected to be in the starting lineup, but were because of injuries, Harris and Dudley. Dudley did not do anything. Harris did have 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He's someone I think who's worth streaming, at least this week, if you don't already have him in your lineup. Anyone here, anything jumping out on you? Is Dinwiddie someone you think should be owned in 12-team leagues? Any thoughts on any other players from the Brooklyn side?
Definitely, I'd say so. Because I'm sorry to put you on the spot here in front of your precious listeners, Neil, but I actually offered you Spencer Dinwiddie, if you recall, for your Jeremy Lamb in our 14-team league.
Did you really?
And you politely declined. Too bad we're not going to revisit that at this time. But joking aside, I really think I'm on board with Brewski's outlook on Dinwiddie. We both agree that he's clearly the better player compared to D'Angelo Russell. And it's shining through right now. And it's just a matter of time that he's going to take the lion's share of the point guard minutes on a consistent basis. And he's the one who's going to carry the Nets into the future and not Russell.
I agree he's a better player. I was just worried about Russell getting the nod, but you're right. Tonight he came in off the bench and played 7 more minutes, played what we call starter minutes at 32, and tonight put up a great line. So he is someone who's a must-add, if not already there. And let's see if Jeremy Lamb goes to the bench. Please, I'll revisit that offer with you. I don't think you'll take it, though, at this point, right? Would you even do it right now anymore or not?
Yeah, I would.
All right. After we record, maybe you'll see something in your inbox. Okay. Detroit Pistons. Luke Kennard, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond, Bruce Brown Jr. Sorry, I had to look that name up. And Reggie Jackson were the starters. Start with Drummond, 24 points, 20 rebounds. Someone, if you're punting free throws, he used to be the guy. Right now, though, he's shooting very well from the free throw line, 3 of 4. At least a good start. 1 of 3 from 3 and 1 block. If this guy shoots 75% from the charity stripe, he will be top 10, maybe top 15. That'd be amazing. Anyway, Blake Griffin, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Shot well as well from the free throw line, 9 of 11 with a 3-pointer. No defensive stats, though, something that he's always kind of been deficient in. Luke Kennard, not really relevant fantasy-wise, just 19 minutes. Same with Bruce Brown Jr. Reggie Jackson did have a decent line, but he did shoot horribly, 7 of 20. 19 points on those 20 shots, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Someone who tends to get injured and not very efficient or gets enough assists or defensive stats for a point guard. Someone I tend to stay away from. The other players that might be relevant are Langston Galloway off the bench. Someone who's been a starter before. I believe he started for the Knicks for a while. On 29 minutes, 11 points on 11 shots, 3 assists, and not much else. So maybe he's not relevant. Any thoughts from you on the Detroit side?
One player comes to mind, and that's Ish Smith. We reported on the site that Ish would be playing alongside Reggie Jackson at certain spots, and because of that, we saw an uptick in ads for him. But I'm not so sure because I from what I recall from our show days back last season, you're not pretty high on Ish. Um, does the situation in Detroit change your mind with confidence being given to Ish?
I've never been a fan of anyone in the backcourt there. Either they're starting point guards or starting two guards. I was actually looking forward to see what Glenn Robinson was going to be this year when he first got traded or moved over to the Pistons. And obviously he's not part of the rotation. Oh, he got 20 minutes, but he's not really relevant fantasy-wise. I don't trust many Detroit Pistons. I would only take Drummond if I could felt decently about his free throw percentage. Even Blake Griffin, although he had a good night tonight, I'm worried about him going forward. This is a team I tend to stay away from. Is there anyone that you'd like to target on this team, or you think that I'm missing out on?
No, just Drummond actually. One thing to note about Drummond, he made 1 of 3 of his shots from downtown, and there, reports in the offseason were that he was working on a 3-point shot, and he finally connected. And if the guy develops a 3-point shot to add to his arsenal, the guy's just going to be crazy good.
Oh my God, yes. If he can shoot that 3-pointer and he can get his free throw percentage up, yeah, he'll be a first rounder. No doubt about it. All right, let's go on to Cleveland, Toronto. Rematch of the Eastern Conference semifinals of last year with some changes in the rosters. Cleveland loses this time 116-104. Kevin Love, now the focal point, played 34 minutes, 21.7 rebounds, 2 assists, just 5 of 8 shooting, though, with no defensive stats. Chetty Osman, someone I put in many bids in already now for 17 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 of 10 from the field, and 2 steals, 2 for 2 from the three-point line. Tristan Thompson got the start with Larry Nance Jr. hurt, and he may get the start many times anyway. 3 points, 13 rebounds, and an assist. George Hill getting the start at point guard, 31 minutes, 15, 2, and 7. And Rodney Hood getting the start at shooting guard, 12, 2, and 1. Kind of disappointing from those two guys. Kind of like late-round sleepers that may produce given their role on the team, but tonight really didn't do a whole lot. Jordan Clarkson off the bench with just 15 points, but just 3 rebounds and no assists and no defensive stats. Colin Sexton played 18 minutes. Didn't look that great. 2 of 7. Did go 5 from 5 from the free throw line. And the one disappointment for me was David Nwaba is not even in the rotation. Just played 2 minutes. Really no. My big takeaway from the Cavaliers is that I would pick up Chetty Osman right away if he's available in any of your leagues. Eric, do you disagree or agree? And anything else from this team?
I agree. Osman is a must-add right now, given the situation. And I must say that I was at least mildly disappointed in what Kevin Love did. I know he scored 21 points and grabbed 7 boards, but his shooting was really awful, making just 5 of 18 from the field. I was hoping for a better game from Love, considering the opposition.
Yeah, I mean, you still think he's going to be valuable, though, right? You wouldn't trade him. Would you?
No. Okay. I still feel that he has a top 15 upside to him, and again, 1 game sample size. We know that the Raptors like to play it small in most cases, so it could be the result of a matchup issue.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go over to the Raptor side. Pascal Siakam getting the start alongside Kawhi Leonard, Jonas Valanciunas, Danny Green, and Kyle Lowry. All the starters played significant minutes except for Valanciunas with just 20. Siakam only played 20 as well. But let's start with the new guy in town, Kawhi Leonard, 37 minutes, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 for 22 from the field, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 3-pointer. And Kyle Lowry, the number 2 guy there now, I guess, 27 points, 1 rebound, and 8 assists. Someone I liked, and I would have liked to take in the second or third round if he was there, late second round, early third round. Did not get him in any of my leagues. Serge Ibaka played well off the bench. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of scanning now because we still have a bunch of games to go through. There's nothing here that really jumped out at me that makes me change my mind. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's nothing significant. Valanciunas makes me a little nervous with just 20 minutes. And then Siakam is someone who's on my watch list. Is there anything that you're doing differently from this game?
No, I'm with you on Siakam. I have him in my relatively deep leagues, and I think he's worth playing in 14-team leagues or deeper.
What about Valanciunas? Are you concerned about him for just 20 minutes?
Yeah, a bit, because the timeshare situation that's forming between him and Ibaka for those center minutes, it's a bit concerning, but I'm not going to panic just yet.
All right, thank you. We're going to go into Atlanta and New York. Maybe the ugliest game of the night. The Knicks pulled it out 126-107. Vince Carter starting for the Atlanta Hawks. I would not have guessed that. Taurean Prince as well. Alex Len subbing in for John Collins. Trae Young, of course, the rookie. And Kent Bazemore. Alex Len is someone I picked up and played this week because I thought he might do decently. I was completely wrong today. Just 21 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds, and a block and 3 turnovers. Taurean Prince had a solid game, 21, 6, and 6. Did turn it over 6 times, though. Vince Carter, not someone I would look to add, even though he did start tonight, just played 24 minutes and put up modest stats. Trae Young, like we kind of expected, did not shoot well. Didn't turn it over, though, too much. Just 4 turnovers, which isn't too bad for someone who's so ball dominant. 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Bazemore, a solid sort of late round guy, 14 points, 6 rebounds on 6 of 12 shooting with 2 3-pointers, 2 steals, and a block. And then no one really off the bench seemed interesting here. Are you making any short-term moves based on what you saw tonight from Atlanta?
No, not really. I don't see anything really that jumps out at me. I think the Alex Len situation is something to watch. He was plagued by foul trouble and had some back problems coming into this game, but his fantasy value is hanging on a precipice because the eventual return of Dwayne Dedman might actually hurt Len in the future. So he's somebody to watch out for.
Yeah, I picked him up just for this week 1 and looking to see when and if Dedman came back, I would just drop him. But I'm going to give him 1 or 2 more games. I might drop him anyway if he's not going to really play that many minutes. Okay, on the Knicks side, Ntilikina got the start along with Lance Thomas, Enes Kanter, Tim Hardaway Jr., Trey Burke. Let's see. I guess the biggest night of the night has to go to Tim Hardaway Jr., someone I kind of stayed away from because he shot so poorly last year. Tonight he did shoot pretty well, 10 of 22, 31 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, 8 for 8 from the free throw line, 3 3-pointers, and 2 steals. Just a great stat line. It's always to find guys on bad teams that put up a lot of stats, and that was Tim Hardaway tonight. Enes Kanter, solid line of 16-11, 3 assists, a steal and a block on good shooting. Lance Thomas, not sure where he's in the starting lineup, but he is. Played just 16 minutes, though, with 3 points. Ntilikina got 34 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. I'm going to ask you about Ntilikina, and I'm going to ask you about Trey Burke. Ntilikina, I do not see owned in any of my leagues. Should he be owned?
Okay, coming into this game, there was a big question about the Knicks starting point guard. They kind of answered that by starting both of them. Both Burke and Ntilikina started. Ntilikina was deployed. Because of that, he came up with an interesting line and actually filled up the stat sheet with some low-end numbers, except for those 3 steals, which kind of jump out at you. This is a new look for the guy, and if it somehow works, because he's playing well. He outperformed rookie Kevin Knox, who had a lot of hype coming in. Knox was disappointing, making just 10 points on 4 of 16 shooting. Tilakina is worth an ad right now in deep leagues. It's still very speculative at this point. We're going to see where this takes us, but it's an interesting experiment, and it might just lead to some solid late round fantasy value.
Yeah, I agree. If you're looking for points, he's definitely not the guy. But for every other category, he might be okay. Rebounds, assists, just one tonight, but he could be decent in that. Steals and blocks. Great defender, now playing on the wing. Or maybe even playing the power forward. Anyway, the NBA is basically point guard, rim protector, and wing now. Okay, let's go to Alonzo Trier. Do you know this guy? Have you heard of him?
Only what I saw in the preseason. But
Yes.
other than that, pre-NBA draft, I didn't know much about him at all. But it's surprising that Trier actually outdid Kevin Knox in this game. Trier, finished with 15 points, 4 boards. So he's intriguing. He caught my eye. I saw him added and dropped over the preseason after early drafts were done. And I think he's worth a gamble in very deep leagues right now.
Yeah, I agree. Adrian kind of told me about him, and I had to look him up, and he said he might actually get minutes in this rotation. Tonight he did, 26 minutes. The game wasn't that competitive, so maybe that's why he got more minutes than I expected, but certainly something to keep an eye on. The Knicks, if you can find players that are going to get consistent minutes, they'll produce. They're going to run up and down the court, and they're going to put up a lot of stats. So Kevin Knox is a little disappointing. He was very hyped up coming into the regular season. We thought he was going to be the starter. He did not really produce off the bench tonight. If you own him, would you hold on to him or would you drop him at this point?
I'd still hold on to Knox because of his ability to do so many things. I'm going to be a bit more patient with him. Give him maybe a week. Since we're on the topic of Knicks rookies, one rookie I did drop while I was doing the blurb shift for Hoopball earlier is Mitchell Robinson, who only played 1 minute and scored 2 points and didn't block a shot. I dropped him in at least 3 leagues. So he's somebody who was at the end of my bench. He was pretty much my last pick in all of those drafts. And, I quickly cut bait and went after some other low-end big men like Bam Adebayo, for example, who I picked up off the wires.
Yeah, he was someone who had a lot of buzz as well and is not really, or did at least today, was not really involved with the game. Let's go with a couple other guys who may be at the end of your bench or on the waiver wire, and you may want to consider either adding or dropping. Anything you take away from Trey Burks and Mario Hezonja's game tonight?
All right. I actually did the blurbs for Hezonja. He had 3 points to his name before the fourth quarter, and a lot of his production in this 15-point 3 steal line came in the fourth quarter, and garbage time was a factor in his production. The Hawks had waved the white flag already, and pretty much there was nobody really defending Hezonja. But as I said in the blurb, the takeaway here was that Hezonja is able to produce, good fantasy production in limited minutes. So all he really needs is an opportunity to shine. And because of that, you might want to hold on to him. I picked him up in one of my leagues today before coming onto this pod. So yeah, he's worth a speculative ad right now.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to break out as well. Let's move on to Minnesota San Antonio. This game came down to the wire. San Antonio pulled it out 112 to 108. All right, on the Minnesota side, someone I took in my draft, Karl Anthony Towns, disappointed, fouled out in 22 minutes, 8 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Oh, God, made me rethink that maybe I should have drafted Giannis. Anyway, Andrew Wiggins did have a good stat line in 37 minutes, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. The first thing that I noticed is in this stat line is he played the most minutes. I don't know what's going on with Tibbs. Butler only played 31 minutes. Teague only 31 minutes. Taj Gibson 26. Not something all of us had come to love and know about the Thibodeau coach team. Taj Gibson did not really do well. 6 points, 11 rebounds. Butler did exactly what you expected. Great numbers, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 4 steals. I thought he would have been traded by now. I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. Very confused. Jeff Teague, 31 minutes, shot very well, 27 points, but just 4 assists and a rebound. And then Jang off the bench filled in for the fouled out Towns. Had a decent stat line, but it's probably just something because of Towns' foul trouble. And then Derrick Rose off the bench played 30 minutes, but they really do anything. Are you surprised by these minutes? Are you surprised by anything you saw from Minnesota tonight?
I think that the drama is weighing down on this team, this Butler drama. I think Towns must have been distracted, and that's part of the reason why he was saddled with foul trouble for pretty much the entire game and resulting in such a bad line. The sooner Butler gets traded, the better. The moment he does, expect a bounce back from Towns. If I'm a Towns owner, I wouldn't be worried at all right now. And if you're somebody in the market for buy low, I'd buy low on Towns after this performance.
Yeah, I've got to hang tight. Obviously, if you own him, you can't get any value for him, and I don't want to trade him just yet. I was really excited to own him this year, and I love watching him play. Certainly on the offensive end, he's just a beast. All right, let's go on to San Antonio. LaMarcus Aldridge playing 42 minutes, had just a monster line, 21 points, 19 rebounds, 2 assists. Did not shoot well, though, 7 of 23, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. So made it up on the defensive stats. Jakob Portal, someone who I thought might actually be a sleeper tonight, was just asleep. 8 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Just took 4 shots in that time frame. He seems to be really out of favor with Popovich right now. Bryn Forbes gets a start at point guard, 30 minutes, 11, 3, and 2. I don't think he's really worth an ad at this point. They get 2 steals. DeRozan had a night we kind of expect from him, 28 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, just 1 3-pointer. And then Rudy Gay, someone else who I've been targeting late in rounds, only played 23 minutes, which is a little concerning. Did put up 18 points, 7 rebounds, and shot the ball well, 8 for 12. And another guy who I thought might do well in this system with all the injured players was Pau Gasol, but did not. Only played 23 minutes, 5 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Did have a 3-pointer. Patty Mills also played 30 minutes off the bench, but did not really contribute in the stat line. Are you adding Bryn Forbes anywhere? Are you downgrading anyone? Well, I don't know. Who are some of the players on this team you think might shine besides Aldridge and DeRozan, or is that it in your mind?
Just those 2 guys, really, at this point. Pau Gasol will provide low-end value. He'll be a unique guy in the sense that he'll be chipping in 5 assists per game in the near future. Bryn Forbes will have short-term appeal for some value, while White is recovering from his injury, who's I think expected to be out anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks. Forbes is just a short-term ad. I don't see him maintaining this value long-term.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's go over to Utah-Sacramento. That game ended just a little while ago. Utah won 123-117. Ingles, 35 minutes, 22 points, a rebound, and 6 assists, 4 steals, 4 3-pointers. Did have 5 turnovers, but a really solid line from him. Maybe the 1 rebound was a little weak. Derek Favors, 18, 9, and 1 with just the block, and 4 for 8 from the free throw line. That is just his Achilles heel. Gobert, 19, 15 on 7 and 9 shooting, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. A great line for him, and 3 blocks. if he shoots those free throws well, he will again be a fantasy darling. Donovan Mitchell started off slow, ended up with 24 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, 3 3-pointers, and 2 steals. Ricky Rubio had a very horrendous fantasy night. Just 22 minutes, just 1 point, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, just 4 shots, missed them all. Didn't make 1 free throw and had a steal. Someone I was worried about coming into the season with Donovan Mitchell taking kind of control of this team. Rubio really dominated with his assists and defensive stats, which as a player gets older tends to fade a bit. Crowder off the bench was a bright star. 33 minutes, 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 3-pointers. Are you panicking as a Rubio owner? Are you doing anything differently if you own anyone on this team?
Unfortunately, before this game, I traded Joe Ingles for Jonathan Isaac in one of my leagues. So now I'm scratching my head, feeling a bit of buyer's remorse. Again, saying to myself the mantra, 1 game sample size, etc. But that said, Ingles is in for a fantastic season, obviously. Going to your point on Rubio, this is kind of the story of what happened to Rubio last season. He was off to a sluggish, if not crawling start, totally atrocious. But what happened was post All-Star break, Rubio found a way to put it all together and finished with top 50-esque, value. So if you have the patience, it's worth holding on to him. But if not, you might want to package him as a kicker in one of the deals you're going to be doing moving forward. That means if you're desperate for some solid point guard production, because I don't think Rubio is going to be solid from the get-go. I think what's happened from my analysis of what happened last season is that he's morphed into one of those players that takes time to ramp up their game as the season progresses. Characteristic of Trevor Ariza, who normally starts a season quite slowly and ramps up his production later on.
Yeah, that's good to know. If you own Rubio, I was really nervous about him coming this season. One guy I avoided in my drafts, and so far, it's sad to see though, because I do like him as a player, and I love watching Utah play. Let's go over to Sacramento side. Buddy Hield, Bielitsa at the Cauley Stein, Farrell, and Fox. Not the starting 5 I was expecting. Minutes were spread around except for Cauley Stein. He was the dominant guy tonight on 38 minutes, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 10 of 15 from the field. Hurt you a little bit in the free throw line, 3 of 6. Did get a steal and 2 blocks. De'Aaron Fox, the other player on this team that's sort of the key to the future, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Shot very well tonight. My one concern was his percentages tonight, 8 of 16, 5 of 7 with the free throw line. So okay there as well. 3 steals. Bielitsa, someone who I'm thinking about adding. Erik, I want you to talk me out of this. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists on 8 of 12 shooting, 2 3-pointers, and a steal. And then Yogi Ferrell with 12 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Off the bench, Justin Jackson played 30 minutes. Bagley, only 12 minutes. Harry Giles, 10 minutes. Frank Mason, 5 minutes. Some of those younger guys, we were not really sure, at least I was not really sure where the minutes would come tonight. Not at all. First of all, should I add Bielitsa, or is this like a one-night wonder? Would you, if you drafted Bagley or Giles or Mason, would you cut bait at this point?
Okay. One thing at a time. Okay. Bielitsa, sorry to tell you, I added him in a 16 team. I just added him right now.
Did you add him in our league?
No. You can go and run. Take him there. But
okay, good. Fair enough.
But seriously though, I added Bielitsa. I dropped Derek White, who's not going to come back anytime soon. So I needed the warm body, and I'd like to see where this start takes him. He's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I thought he was going to be a very good coming into the season, and then I thought he had a chance to be a good player last year. He just didn't get the minutes in Minnesota, and then I think he on like Philadelphia, and then he said he was going to leave or something, and now he's in I don't know. I can't follow everything. Anyway, he's now starting in Sacramento and had a solid line tonight. Yeah, let's go back to my second question. These young guys on Sacramento, Bagley, their second pick, the second overall pick, Giles and Mason, players who we thought might contribute a little more tonight, did not really play that much. Do you think? Would you hold on to any of these guys, or do you think it's okay to try to like throw another dart at some other player?
Okay. As for transparency purposes, I
Yes.
don't own any shares of all three of those guys
Yep.
because coming into this season, I wasn't very high on any of them. I see them as very raw. I don't think that any of them are going to make a huge impact, Bagley included. His draft position in real life notwithstanding. I think Bagley will take time. He could eventually work his way to being a poor man's Zach Randolph in his prime, so to speak. But outside of that, I don't think any of these guys are worth holding on to at the moment. They're going to be sitting in your wire for some time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Kings are hard to predict with that. A, there's so much depth, and B, Jaeger roster moves are kind of hard to predict. Let's go into Dallas Phoenix. Maybe the biggest surprise of the night. The Phoenix Suns win 121-100. I did not see that coming. Start with Dallas in the debut of Luka Doncic. 31 minutes, solid line, 10, 8, 4 with, oh gosh, actually maybe not so solid. He went 0 for 5 from three-point land, no steals, no blocks, and missed both his free throws. Dorian Finney-Smith got the start at small forward, played 30 minutes, 12 points, 3 rebounds, and assists, and 3 blocks and a steal. DeAndre Jordan in Dallas now, 43 minutes, 11 points, 13 rebounds, an assist, 5 for 9 from the field, no blocks though. Dennis Smith Jr., oh gosh, so worried about his shooting tonight. Again, disappointed, 6 of 20 from the field. He did get 3 steals, did end up putting up 13 points and 5 assists. And then Wesley Matthews started at shooting guard with 34 minutes, 15 points, 2 and 5. He's looking a little bit better this year, maybe not fantasy worthy though. I'd like to get your thoughts on him, Eric, if you think Wesley Matthews is an ownable person in a 12-team league. Really nothing off the bench from Dallas. Your thoughts from this side of the ledger?
Okay. Matthews is really old, but then his game is very favorable towards his longevity because he's a 3-and-D guy. He just pretty much sits on the outside and catches and shoots the open 3 and does his work on defense. I don't see him anymore. I'm fading on him in 12-team leagues. I think his value is now pretty much limited to just maybe 14 or 16 teams or deeper, actually. So I'm no longer. I was a huge fan of Matthews, but that was like over 5 years ago. So I'm moving on. I'm investing in younger guys, obviously. So I'd rather own, somebody else at this point. As far as old guys, are concerned, I'd probably rather own Trevor Ariza, for example.
Yeah, I agree. And what about Dorian Finney-Smith? He got the start at small forward, played 30 minutes. Didn't really do much in the stat line, just took 7 shots. Is he someone you would consider rostering, if that's a word?
Picking up, first of all.
Yes, picking up, yes.
Okay. Only in deep leagues, and even then I wouldn't feel too good about it, especially if my league had an ad count or a number of ads that I had as a limit for the season. Because I have a feeling that this game has to be taken with a grain of salt. The Mavs were fighting against the Suns, and the Suns aren't really known for their defense. So it's the kind of box score that can fool you and give you false positives or false negatives. That being the case, I want to see him do it again before I go out and add him.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think you need a rush to pick him up either. Wasn't a great stat line to begin with, and if he's going to stay in the starting lineup, maybe is worth an ad. On the Phoenix side, speaking of Trevor Ariza, 37 minutes, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 3-pointers, and a steal. He may have the stat of the night for someone unexpectedly showing up. DeAndre Ayton kind of lived up to the hype. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 11 shooting. Perfect from the free throw line, 2 of 2, a steal and a block. Isaiah Cannon got the start at point guard, 8, 6, and 7 with 2 3-pointers. And Devin Booker putting up 35 points on 19 shots, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, no steals, no blocks. Ryan Anderson also started, but really didn't do anything in 24 minutes. Off the bench, Josh Jackson played 29 minutes, 18, 2, 3, 0, and 1. And TJ Warren, 24 minutes, 17 points, not much of anything else. Well, I did get 2 steals. So I know you have Isaiah in one of your leagues.
That you're in.
that I'm playing against you right now. That's why I know that. And TJ Warren was someone I thought might be worth adding. I guess I'm probably not going to look at him. Same with Josh Jackson, just because his percentages tend not to be great. Although tonight he was 7 for 11 and made 3 3-pointers. Would you add Josh Jackson if he was out there in your league?
Yeah, I think so, because I think there are going to be those nights that Ryan Anderson is just going to be too much of a liability for the Suns, and they're going to slot in Josh Jackson at power forward and let him do what he does. So I know that the Suns are being hard-headed and starting Anderson over Jackson, but I think Jackson may, fit in really as a kind of stretch for them. He did log 28 minutes, and I think he delivered just enough for me to stay interested.
Any other thoughts from Phoenix tonight?
Well, as somebody who owns DeAndre Ayton in a lot of my leagues, I'm pretty happy, I guess, with the 6 assists. I was hoping for 2010, but I'll take 18-10. It's close enough. But seriously, I'm
maybe you can call up the commissioner and just say, "Can you give me 2010?" I mean, he should have made that one shot.
But there. Overall, I think fantasy wise, the Suns that were targeted in fantasy are delivering what they're delivering. Isaiah is, I think, stream fodder in 12-team leagues for his assists and threes. But other than that, he's only worth keeping in, say, 16 teams or deeper. I actually dropped him in our 14-team league. I just cycled through.
So you don't think it's not even 14-team worthy right now? Yeah, he's not someone I'm looking at as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold on to him. He was just there to boost my assists because so that everybody's aware. I'm nursing a lot of injured guys against Neil, and I have to stream to keep up with his Anthony Davis and company.
It's so unfair when you get the first pick. And I got Anthony Davis in this league, and it's just like winning a ping pong ball, I don't feel good about it. Although I'll take the win if I end up beating you this week. All right, let's go over to Denver and the Clippers. Denver pulled it out 107-98. Their starting 5 all produced. Well, I wouldn't say all produced, but they're all sort of great players in my opinion. Paul Millsap, Barton, Jokic, Murray, Harris. This is my favorite team to watch. Let's start with Nikola Jokic. Maybe one of my top 3 or 4 favorite players to watch. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot well, both from the field and the free throw line. 1 3-pointer, 1 steal, 1 block. Let's see. The second best guy on this team, I might go with Gary Harris. 34 minutes, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Did not shoot that well from the field, but okay, 6 of 16, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. No 3-pointers, a steal. Paul Millsap, just 7 points tonight on 29 minutes and just 7 field goal attempts. 14 rebounds though to get a steal and a block. Will Barton, picking up where he left off last year, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, 1 block. And then Jamal Murray, kind of a disappointing night for him, just 3 of 12 shooting, 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, steal, and no blocks, I would not be worried. This team is so well balanced that each night one player is going to kind of go. One player may have a down night, but they'll bounce back pretty quickly. Off the bench, Trey Lyles, played 19 minutes. Nothing really worth mentioning there, though. And no one else really played that many minutes off the bench. What are your thoughts on Denver tonight, and any takeaways?
Excuse me. This is pretty much the Denver we saw last season, right? So in that sense, it's kind of incomplete because we're still missing Isaiah Thomas, who didn't play in this game because of his ailing hip. Now, he's going to be a monkey wrench thrown into this well-oiled machine that are the Nuggets. And I'm kind of worried, given how things are balanced right now, what kind of an impact Thomas will have on guys like Murray or Barton. And the guy's going to demand those touches as the team's sixth man. How will he impact these minutes and this production? I'm not exactly sure how to project it out. I guess I'll defer to you, Neil. What do you see Thomas's impact, assuming he does end up coming back healthy on this Nuggets squad?
I don't know how it's going to feel. I know Mike Malone's a big fan of Isaiah Thomas, and he will get a very strong 6-man role there. That I think will be his role. My only concern is that it's going to be, it might cut into Murray. If Murray's having a bad night, maybe he'll finish the game instead of Murray. I don't think it'll really affect anyone else too much. I think if he becomes too ball dominant, he'll get the hook. Their offense is now going more through Jokic than anyone else. So we'll have to see. I think Isaiah knows he has to sort of fit in with this system. He can't sort of just go out there and do his thing anymore. So not too worried about it. But then again, he kind of has that personality of wanting to take over. It's just a matter of whether the coaching staff can rein him in. Does that make any sense? I'm just kind of hedging my bets there.
Yeah, actually, you're pretty much straddling the fence. So
I know. I don't know. Basically.
Okay. I'll just go out and say it. I'm a bit worried. I don't own any Isaiah Thomas shares, but I do own a lot of Gary Harris because I'm a huge fan. But am I all too concerned? I don't think so, because somebody like Gary Harris has already established his value to the team. He's, arguably their go-to scorer. Him and Jokic are the main 1-2 punch of the team. And it's the onus is going to be on Thomas to find his way, like you said, to be the one to fit in to what is already the ecosystem that's established.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's got it's that way. It's not the other way where he's coming in and they have to adjust to him. He has to adjust to them. So I would go with not being too concerned about Gary Harris. I think he is a favored son there in that system. Let's go over to the Clipper side, our last side of the night. Tobias Harris, now the main guy in the Clippers, played 40 minutes, 19 points, 10 rebounds, an assist, 3 blocks. Patrick Beverley, someone who I had drafted in one of my leagues, then dropped him immediately. And I'm glad. I'm not regretting it right now, at least. 0 points on 19 minutes, 4 rebounds and 6 assists and a block. Gortat just played 18 minutes, 6 and 6. Not really, I think, worth owning this year. Avery Bradley, another disappointing night, 27 minutes, 8-2, 0-2, 1. And then Gallinari, someone who I think can deliver when he's out there tonight. He had 16 points, 8 rebounds, and assists. Off the bench, Lou Williams didn't have a big night, but did okay. 14 points, rebound, and 5 assists. And then probably the most interesting, there's 2 interesting lines. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 28 minutes, 11, 2, 4, 1, 1. And Boban played 17 minutes, 18 and 8. Are you adding either of those 2 guys, first of all, Shea or Boban?
Okay. While we're recording this podcast, I was sneakily looking through my leagues and adding Bielitsa in our 14 team.
What? Wait, what?
Anyway, just to share with our listeners, so this is semi-live as we're recording live. I noticed that Boban has been picked up in pretty much all of my leagues.
Oh, and my God.
I play in some of the most aggressive leagues out there. I work in the fantasy basketball industry, but I play with people who are very in touch with the news, very in touch with the stats. Boban's not available, so I can't. Would I have picked him up? Sure. Just on the strength of him having the upside, because he is an insane per minute beast. There's just no argument there. And Gortat has been steadily fading over the last 5 years. Um, so yeah, I would have picked up Boban. Again, this could be one of those one game wonders that he's known for. But I'd be ready to cut bait, obviously. But it's an aggressive move, but it's worth one of my moves, is what I'm saying.
And
SGA.
how deep was that league that you did it? Would you do it in?
Oh wow. I didn't bother with my 12-team league. So sorry, there are a lot of better guys out there in 12-team. 14-team and deeper, obviously. He was taken in our 14-team league that you and I are in together. When I was picking up Bielitsa, I saw that Boban went also. So there.
So I invite you on the show, and then you pick up a guy before I can, because I am so focused on the show. All right. This is going to. So what do you think about Montrezl Harrell? I thought he might be worth owning because Gortat is sliding, but he only played 16 minutes. I mean, he did do okay, 6-5, 1 and 2, but he needs minutes. Are you not going to speculate with him with an ad anymore on him, or you think he's worth even watching at this point?
Oh, okay. Just to share with our listeners, Martin was drafted by Aaron Brewski in an 8-cat league that I'm in with him. It's Roto, and I think Brewski wanted him specifically for his field goal, because I think Brewski's first pick was James Harden, and he wanted a big man to help offset Harden's shooting. Now, that said, I obviously didn't get a chance to own Harrell because I had enough big men. But am I going to go out of my way to pick him up? No. But if I had him, would I hold on to him for a few more games? Yes. He did give, 2 blocks, 5 boards, given the minutes. And I think it was just a matter of Boban stealing the spotlight in some of Harrell's thunder. So for all we know, come next Clipper game, it's going to be Harrell who's going to be delivering the production, and Boban will fade into obscurity once again.
Yeah, he's had moments like these before, Boban, that is where he's shown up and then kind of faded away. So perhaps that is the case. I guess we'll just watch and see where Harrell's role fits in. Well, Eric, we made it through. Thanks for being on. I know you've had a long day already with Hoopball. I may be inviting you back to come on again. Hopefully you'll be willing. Hopefully I won't talk about players I want to add, and you won't pick them up while I'm talking about them. Any closing thoughts before we sign off?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for having me, and I hope we were able to give our listeners some interesting insight on this stacked second day of the NBA 2018-19 season.
Yeah, very stacked. What is your Twitter account again? I know I don't have it memorized.
Please follow me. I'm at Fantasy Hoopla. That's HOOPLA. And hit me up on Twitter in case you want to talk about fantasy hoops, and I'm always ready to answer questions. And if you zip by the Hoopball forums, I actually have a dedicated thread where you can consult me on trade advice. If you're offered a trade, just write on that thread, and I'll give you my 2 cents on which side is the better side of that deal.
Oh man, I'm going to be hitting you up there. Thank you. Yeah, Eric's been a long time, not a long time, but he's been writing here for a while, and he's one of the most respected fantasy analysts we have, which is why I wanted to be in a league against you. I wanted to see how well I could do against you, and it's a long season. So far, I've been lucky with my number 1 draft pick. That is it for tonight's edition of the Box Score Breakdown. Please follow me at Ball with Neil. That's BALLWITHNEIL. Hit me up with any questions you have. I would be happy to answer them as well. With that, I am signing off, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.